Welcome to Intuitive Art Sales. This is the show where I, Jessica Craddock, am going to teach you how to source your art marketing from within. You're going to practice claiming that authentic art business that you want and leading into the most natural way for you to get there. You're going to learn to get connected to your intuition, your confidence, and your community so that you can sell your art consistently while holding strong boundaries on your work-life balance. We have just wrapped up the first season of Intuitive Art Sales, where I interviewed, I think it was 12 beautiful people around what their biggest struggles were and their dreams, and gave them actionable tips on how to move forward. And we are absolutely planning to have a season two. But in the meantime, I didn't want to leave you hanging. So I thought that I would do some little mini episodes for you. And this week, we're going to be talking about what big sales actually look like. There's a lot of talk around wanting to raise your prices, wanting to work bigger, have these bigger sales. But what does that actually look like? And this was inspired by one of my clients who wrote me a while back and said that she had just made her biggest sale she'd ever made. She was super excited about it. And crossing her fingers for this to be the new normal. And as I saw that, I sat on that testimonial for ages because I have this little mind trash about if I'm going to share testimonials and wins from clients that that's going to cause problems for other artists because they're going to see those wins and they're going to think, why can't I do that too? Why can't I post my big work and have it sell and get that money in the door? I think we were talking a $4,000 to $5,000 sale here. So why can't I do that too? But the answer is you can. It's just that the way that you've learned to sell art in the past is based on people who are farther along than you, people who maybe have thousands of followers or a really solid, true fan base, or have been selling for years and years and years and just working their way up. And that's not to say, if none of those apply to you, that you can't sell big work too, but it does need to be a slightly different strategy. It's not just going to be post, boom, money's in your bank account. And you know what? I'm going to put a little PS on that and say, dot, dot, dot. Usually that's not what's going to happen. However, we should always try, right? Because why work harder when you don't have to? But we don't want that to be the only thing that we rely on in order to make sales. So this is what having a big sale might look like in reality using this particular client's example. I'm summarizing a little bit because I don't remember all of the details, but you can use this to kind of understand how it went. So first of all, she applied to show her art at an event where she could get in front of people, find opportunities, find threads to follow. So she was accepted, she set up, she is talking to people, and she's taking note of interest. She's taking note of inquiry. She's taking note of when someone says, hey, you might be good at this, so that she can reach out after, she can follow up after, and that conversation does not just end there. Side note, a lot of people will have an art show, have an art fair, whatever the saying is, and say, I didn't sell that much. Yes, probably only about a third of the sales you're going to make, or you have the possibility to make, are going to be made at the show. The rest are made in sequence to that. So if you are only showing up to that event and crossing your fingers and seeing how many people buy, you're missing out on a whole lot of stuff afterwards. So from there, this one particular woman, I think there was a couple, but this one particular woman said, I really like your work. And they started talking about maybe whether a commission might be right for her. So she took her information, she reached back out afterwards and started talking about their vision for it. What it might look like. She did some mock-ups, she did some price quotes, all of those things. Several months went by. There was a little bit of talking back and forth, but she would say, "Oh, I have to go on vacation," or "Oh, this thing's happening." But the line of communication never closed. So between that and also sharing content, this is a way that content can be really sneaky and great, is when you are talking to someone about a thing that they want and you can make content specifically for that person, like pretending that you're writing an email to that person, but posting it on your social media. That's great. One, for having like a follow-up kind of moment, but also sharing that idea with the rest of the people on your list, on your following, whatever that is. So finally, this lady came back and said, "Okay, I'm ready." So they closed the deal. She took a deposit. I think from beginning to end, that was probably, I might be wrong here, but I believe it was 4 months. And yes, that's a lot of work, right? It is. It just is. But it takes a lot of these little wins and little action steps to add up to huge sales. So it's worth it. Big sales are worth the investment. You want to open up those doors to get more sales. You want to keep layering those opportunities on top of each other and continue to follow those threads. Don't just end things when the date is over. There's so much more magic and opportunity that happens after that event. So, what I want you to take away from this is, instead of comparing yourself to these big results that other people are having, I want you to think, how can I find a new way to show up? How can I find a new way to seek out opportunities? How can I find those starting points instead of focusing so heavily on the sale? Because the starting points are how you get to the sales. Yes. So, open more doors to get more sales. Layer those opportunities on top of each other. If you go to one thing and you find 3 opportunities, you go to another thing and find 3 more opportunities, those start to add up. Some of them will follow through, some of them won't. But think 3, 4 months down the road, you are now making sales because you took the time to open those doors. Big sales are worth the investment. Remember that. Big sales are worth the investment. The more you can do this, the more your success is going to compound. So my challenge for you today is to find one new way to show up. And maybe that's pushing your comfort zone a little bit, but I'm not talking about social media posts. I'm talking about being in front of people. Usually that means locally, but that might also be online. Something where you are interacting with other people and your art is a piece of that picture. And then during that event, take notes of any opportunities, any interests, any inquiries, anything that you could potentially follow up with in the future. Okay, start now. Promise you won't regret it later. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit subscribe so that you can get new episodes loaded straight onto your phone as soon as they're ready. And if you're one of those people who wants all the things, be sure that I get your email so that I can send you invitations to free classes, send advice your way, and share details about how you can go deeper with me. Just click on the show notes to sign up.